The House will come to order. The Pledge of Allegiance this morning will be led by Morgan Flowers from Denver East High School.
Please join me in a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Cola, please take the roll. Representatives Buck. Oh, sorry, Becker. Buckner. Conti. Corum. Court. Representative Court. Absent. Absent. Del Grosso. Dorr. Duran. Everett. Absent. Absent. Exum. Fields. Fisher. Representative Fisher. Absent. Absent. Representative Court is present. Representative Foote.
Garcia. Gardner. Giroux. Janal. Hamner. Holbert. Representative Holbert.
Yeah, excused.
Excused. Hollinghorse. Humphrey. Joshi. Kagan. Krafttharp. Labuda. Representative Labuda.
Lou? Cole? Corey? Luda? Absent. Would you call right then?
Landgraf. Lawrence. Representative Labuda and Fisher are present. Lebsock. Lee. May. McCann. McLaughlin. McNulty. Representative McNulty.
Absent. Fine here.
Melton. Mitch Bush. Moreno. Murray. Navarro. Nordberg. Pabon. Peniston. Pedersen. Primavera. Priola. Rankin. Rosenthal.
Well, you got me.
Representative Rosenthal.
You got me.
I know.
Bryden.
You guys had a good fight.
Same.
You know.
Representative Same. Oh. Salazar.
I really believe it for
Schaefer.
you know,
Representative Schaefer.
I don't think my vote against
Scott. Singer. Sonnenberg. Stevens. Swam. Representative Swam. Zabo. Good. Tyler. Vigil. Waller.
here,
Williams.
but it just, I don't know, it's
Representative Williams. Wilson. Wright. Young. Speaker Ferdinand.
Here.
I mean, there were the talking heads.
There's times I want to blow him up. With 63 members present, 1 excused, and 1 absent, a quorum is present. Representative Sane.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the reading of the Journal of March 11th, 2014 be dispensed with and to be approved as corrected by the Chief Clerk.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. Representative Buck wins. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Announcements and introductions. Okay, if no announcements and introductions, we'll move to our next order of business. That's a first. We're going to our first order of business, third reading of... I had to say something. Representative Kagan.
A big shalom to the Denver Academy of Torah who are here on the right-hand side of the chamber. Welcome.
Representative Krafttharp.
Why, thank you,
And
Mr.
Tyler.
Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Jefferson County legislators, including alumni, Representative Tyler, would like to say welcome to the
Leadership Jefferson County class.
Jefferson County class. Yay, our future leaders.
And only the best people go, like all the people that are down here, going to be moving forward for the leadership Jefferson County. We don't tell people.
Representative Ryden.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I just want to remind you that Friday is DU Recognition Day, so wear your DU colors, crimson and gold.
Seeing no further announcements or introduction, we'll proceed to our next order of business, third reading of bills, final passage. Members, please return to your desks. Mr. Kohler, please read the title to House Bill 1136.
House Bill 1136, Representative Primavera, Senator Todd, concerning exempting continuing professional education program that is approved by the State Professional Licensing Board from regulation by the Division of Private Occupational Schools and the Department of Higher Education.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the adoption of House Bill 1136 on third reading and final passage.
You've heard the motion. Seeing no discussion, the question for the House is the passage of House Bill 1136 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representatives Foote and May. Representative Foote. Move those feet pretty quickly, Foote. Here comes Representative Foote. Let him vote first. We'll get there. Don't worry, we'll get there, Representative Szabo. Close the machine with 63 aye votes, 0 no votes, 1 excused, and 1 absent. House Bill 1136 is passed. Co-sponsors. Representative Foote is fined $5. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1216.
House Bill 1216, Representative Sonnenberg, also Senator Brophy, concerning required safety marks of certain towers over 50 feet in height that are located in unincorporated areas of the state.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the adoption of House Bill 1216 on third reading and final passage.
Seeing no discussion, the question for the House is the passage of House Bill 1216 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Just remember it's a Sonnenberg bill. He votes no on all of yours. Representatives Conti, Kagan, and close the machine. With 63 aye votes, 0 no votes, 1 excused, and 1 absent, House Bill 1216 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title to House Bill 1046.
House Bill 1046, Representative Scott, also Senator Kerr, concerning the creation of a Scottish American license plate for motor vehicles in connection with making appropriation.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the adoption of House Bill 1046 on third reading and final passage.
Representative Giroux.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Even though I dinna ken the sponsor understands a whit about Scotland, I will be an aye vote.
Seeing no further discussion, unfortunately the question for the House is the passage of House Bill 1046. If I could lay it over indefinitely, I would. Seeing no discussion, the question for the House is the passage of House Bill 1046 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine, and members, please vote no on one license plate bill. Representatives Fisher and Garcia. Everyone voted the way they wanted to vote? Close the machine. With 52 aye votes, 11 smart people, 1 excused, and 1 absent, House Bill 1046 is unfortunately passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title to House Bill 1131.
House Bill 1131, Representative Fields, also Senator Newell, concerning harassment against a minor by using an interactive computer device.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the adoption of House Bill 1131 on third reading and final passage.
Representative McNulty.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, cyberbullying is real. It is not the type of bullying that we experienced when we were kids. It is all present, it is prevalent, it is at our dining room tables, in the bedrooms of our children, in the schools, on the buses. Everywhere that laptop is, everywhere that tablet is, everywhere that cell phone is, cyberbullying proliferates. Cyberbullying doesn't know gender, it doesn't know race, doesn't know income levels, it doesn't know your BMI. It is meant to punish. It is meant to hurt. And in the cases where the punishment and the hurt is too much to bear, it results in suicide. The families who lose their children to suicide, who lose their children to cyberbullying, the devastation is no less. Yet this bill does not provide equal protection for all children. The issue didn't come up in committee. I'm glad that Representative Gardner raised it during our second reading debate because he's right. Every child deserves equal protection under the law. This bill denies equal protection. Representative Fields, I'm glad that you brought this bill. I'm disappointed that you opposed Representative Gardner's amendment that would have provided equal protection under the law. But I will vote for this bill. I hope that the Senate takes this issue up, and hopefully the outcome is different. I hope that it comes back to us, providing the same protections for all children instead of differentiating between our children and grandchildren. But I will vote for the bill. I hope that you too will vote for the bill. This is an issue that must be addressed. This is an issue that we can address. And hopefully, as this bill moves through the process, it will provide equal protection for all of our children, all of our grandchildren. I ask for an aye vote.
Representative Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Representative McNulty. I, too, want to thank Representative Fields for bringing this bill, and I will be an aye vote for this bill. But I was disturbed that we were unable to ensure that all children who are victims of cyberbullying, all families, could not be protected at the highest level of misdemeanor. Now, it was reported that my amendment was to remove the escalator for immutable characteristics or special categories, that was what the amendment was to do, was to remove the escalator. That simply was not so. My amendment was to ensure that all children who are subjected to cyberbullying would be protected at the same and equal level, the highest level of misdemeanor. Because as Representative McNulty has done far better than I could hope to, having heard what I understand was compelling but sad, tragic testimony in education about the families who've lost their children. This is no respecter of race, of religion, of disability. When someone is singled out for cyberbullying, as Representative Holbert was so eloquent in discussing on second reading, it is about isolating a young person. And that isolation comes from any source that those who would cyberbully can find. The most minute of differences to exploit a vulnerable person, whatever their vulnerability might be. And so I was asked after our vigorous and thank you, colleagues, for a very respectful debate about what is a legitimate public policy choice. Would I support the bill? And I said, I don't know why anyone would think that I would not do so. The tenor of our debate from this side of the aisle, those of us who wanted the amendment to be placed on, the tenor of the debate was cyberbullying is a serious problem. And I am not one that is going to allow the perfect to be the enemy of the good. I, like Representative McNulty, hope that the Senate will take this debate up as well. And in doing so, will recognize that all cyberbullying, no matter what its motivation, ought to be protected at the same high level of misdemeanor to ensure that, more than anything else, young people who would cyberbully would understand that this state, our communities that we represent, consider this to be wrong, vicious, and worthy of punishment at, again, the highest level of misdemeanor in the state, no matter what their motivation. And so I strongly urge an aye vote. I hope everyone in the House will support this bill. Thank you, Representative Fields.
Representative Sonnenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I would like to vote for this bill, but I will be a no. And I'll be a no on one basic principle. I cannot go against my principles that all people are created equal. Therefore, all people should be punished equally. Now, I hope I have another chance to vote on this bill. I hope they fix it in the Senate. I hope that we recognize that cyberbullying is indeed an issue and needs to be dealt with. But I also hope that we as a body could come together and understand that indeed all people are created equal. All people deserve the same protection. I will be a no.
Madam Speaker Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and good morning, colleagues. I first want to start off by thanking everyone for their rich and spirited debate that we had earlier this week. It was very emotional for me, listening to so many of my colleagues who have personally experienced being bullied. Many of you still have the scars and the emotional issues that are associated with being pushed or being shoved or being called some mean and vicious names. It truly helps me understand that bullying does hurt, and it does carry scars that goes beyond a middle school, beyond high school. It carries on into adult life. Bullying is cruel. I read a statistic that says that a child is bullied every 7 minutes in our schools across this nation. But you know what's most important is that many of the children who are bullied never tell anybody. So if there is a child that's out there that is bullied, please tell an adult. Don't suffer that kind of emotional harm alone. Tell somebody. We talked earlier this week about the victim of being bullied, and we talked about the bullier, the person that bullies. But we didn't spend time talking about the stand-byer. This is the person that sits by and allows bullying to continue. That's what we need to stop. So I'm urging you today not to be a stand-byer. I'm urging you today to take a stand against bullying. Bullying is escalating, not only in our schools, but it's taking place in their homes because they're on the internet and they're online. I'm urging you today not to be a stand-byer, and I'm urging you to vote yes on House Bill 1131. And I'd like to close with an email that I received on Tuesday from a mother. And she says, "Hello, Ms. Fields. I've been following the new proposed cyberbullying law in the news. My daughter was cyberbullied in May of 2013, and she attempted to end her life. As a result of her suicide attempt, she has now severe brain damage that has changed her life forever." The anonymous posting escalated the evening before her suicide attempt, and below was some of her statements. The statements are just so horrific. I can't even repeat some of the things that were said, but basically it says something, I heard you try to kill yourself, bad words, bad words. Next time I'll snap your bad word neck. Her husband found her beautiful daughter had tried to hang herself in their basement. My husband started CPR and called 911. As a result, the emergency responders tried to save her life. They did, but now she has this severe brain damage. And she says, "I want to thank you for your efforts in enacting change to protect our children, because our schools should be happy places and our homes should be safe." And she offers that I share this letter with you all to urge you to vote yes and supporting House Bill 1131.
Representative Peniston.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Representative Fields, sometimes you watch what you ask for because you said don't be a stand-byer. And I was sitting there at my desk being a stand-byer. And Representative Fields, I have utmost respect for you. I have utmost respect for this bill because it is a right bill to bring to this state legislature. And I respect all the things you bring here. I don't know I've ever voted no on anything that you've ever brought. And I'm not voting no on this today either. This is a good bill, almost. But friends and colleagues, for the last 2 days, I have had Heidi in my head. And so I need to speak to Heidi this morning. Heidi, you came to us, a beautiful young lady, long brown hair, big brown eyes, and you came to the Education Committee, and that took guts, Heidi. That took courage, and I can't tell you how impressed I am with your ability to speak to adults about your experience with bullying. You don't fit any of the special groups, Heidi. And so this bill is not quite right for you. But your pain was palpable to me. I could feel it. You didn't cry, but you let us know what you had been dealing with because you got crosswise with some girls at school, and your torture was to be called Squirrel. And you got the name Squirrel. And then the boys decided to get in on it, and they emailed you pictures of squirrels as roadkill. And they said that that's what happens to squirrels. And then they sent you pictures of squirrels blown up and said that's what should happen to you, Heidi. And it turned my stomach. And so, Heidi, my vote today on this not quite perfect bill for you is still a yes.
Seeing no further discussion, the question for the House is the passage of House Bill 1131. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Szabo. Close the machine. With 54 aye votes, 10 no votes, 1 excused, and 0 absent, House Bill 1131 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of the House Bill 1149.
House Bill 1149, Representative Conti, All Senator Marble, concerning making acts related to the advertisement of children for the purpose of transferring their care to others, trafficking in children.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the adoption of House Bill 1149 on third reading and final passage.
Seeing no discussion, the question for the House is the passage of House Bill 1149 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine, and members proceed to vote. Representatives McNulty and Priola. Close the machine. With 64 aye votes, 0 no votes, 1 excused, and 0 absent, House Bill 1149 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title to House Bill 1176.
House Bill 1176, Representative Wright and All Senator Talk Drop, concerning state audit cycle of the emissions program for motor vehicles.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the adoption of House Bill 1176 on third reading and final passage.
Seeing no discussion, the question for the House is the passage of House Bill 1176 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine, and members proceed to vote. Representatives Quorum, Gardner, Lebsock, and Pabon. Close the machine. With 60 aye votes, 4 no votes, 1 excused, and 0 absent, House Bill 1176 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of the House Bill 1181.
House Bill 1181, Representative Schaefer, All Senator Copalis, concerning the sunset review of the Nurse Physician Advisory Task Force for Colorado Healthcare in connection with continuing task force through September 1st, 2020.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the adoption of House Bill 1181 on third reading and final passage.
Seeing no discussion, the question for the House is the passage of House Bill 1181 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine, and members, please vote. Representatives Conti and Pabon. Close the machine. With 43 aye votes, 21 no votes, 1 excused, and 0 absent, House Bill 1181 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of the House Bill 1185.
House Bill 1185, Representative Kraft Tharp, All Senator John, concerning the issuance of travel insurance policies.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the adoption of House Bill 1185 on third reading and final passage.
Seeing no discussion, the question for the House is the passage of House Bill 1185 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine, and members proceed to vote. Representatives Conti, McNulty, Pabon, and close the machine. With 53 aye votes, 11 no votes, 1 excused, and 0 absent, House Bill 1185 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of the House Bill 1195.
House Bill 1195, Representative Giroux, Senator Lambert, concerning diversion of revenue collected by the Division of Insurance to cash funds.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the adoption of House Bill 1195 on third reading and final passage.
Seeing no discussion, the question for the House is the passage of House Bill 1195 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine, and members proceed to vote. Representative Del Grosso. Close the machine. With 64 aye votes, 0 no votes, 1 excused, and 0 absent, House Bill 1195 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of Senate Bill 80.
Senate Bill 80 by Senator Grantham, also Representative Fields, concerning elimination of the list of certain additional qualifications that apply to property valuation appeal arbitrators.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the adoption of Senate Bill 80 on third reading and final passage.
Seeing no discussion, the question for the House is the passage of Senate Bill 80 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Pabon. Close the machine. With 64 aye votes, 0 no votes, 1 excused, and 0 absent, Senate Bill 80 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of the House Bill 1280.
House Bill 1280, Representative Dorr, also Senator Schwartz, concerning limits on liability for agritourism.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the adoption of House Bill 1280 on third reading and final passage.
Representative Gardner.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I would be remiss if I didn't come down and say that I urge an aye vote in memory of Curly. And so, for those of you who honor the memory of Curly, and for those of you who haven't watched City Slickers, go watch it. So I urge an aye vote for Curly's Law.
Seeing no further discussion, the question for the House is the passage of House Bill 1280 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote if you like Curly. Representatives Buck, Field, McCann, McNulty, and close the machine. With 64 aye votes, 0 no votes, 1 excused, and 0 absent, House Bill 1280 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of the House Bill 1123.
House Bill 1123, Representative Labuda, also Senator Brophy, concerning implementation of recommendations of the Committee on Legal Services in connection with legislative review of rules and regulations of state agencies.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the adoption of House Bill 1123 on third reading and final passage.
Seeing no discussion, the question for the House is the passage of House Bill 1123 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine. Members, please proceed to vote. Representatives McLaughlin and McNulty. Close the machine. With 64 aye votes, 0 no votes, 1 excused, and 0 absent, House Bill 1123 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title to Senate Bill 55.
Senate Bill 55 by Senator Stemmen, also Representative Corum, concerning more precise specification of the class of vehicle subject to the daily vehicle rental fee.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the adoption of Senate Bill 55 on third reading and final passage.
Seeing no discussion, the question for the House is the passage of Senate Bill 55 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representatives Lebsack and Representative Lebsack, close the machine. With 48 aye votes, 16 no votes, 1 excused, and 0 absent, Senate Bill 55 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move the House proceed out of order for consideration of SJR 18.
Seeing no objection, the House will proceed out of order for consideration of SJR 18. Mr. Kohler, please read the title to SJR 18.
Senate Joint Resolution 18 by Senator Lambert, also Representative Wyden, concerning celebration of Colorado Civil Air Patrol Day.
Representative Wyden.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move Senate Joint Resolution SJR 14-018 and ask that it be read at length.
Whereas Civil Air Patrol is the congressionally chartered auxiliary of the United States Air Force, and the Colorado Wing of Civil Air Patrol has over 900 adult volunteers and over 870 cadet volunteers serving their state in air and ground search and rescue, cadet programs, and aerospace education. And whereas the Colorado Wing has 17 single-engine aircraft, 22 vehicles, and a robust statewide multi-channel communications network linking the 35 squadrons throughout the state. And whereas the Colorado Wing conducted 26 search and rescue operations, resulting in 18 successful finds and 1 life saved in 2013. And whereas the Colorado Wing provided 10 aircraft, 12 vehicles, 94 volunteers, 2,700 volunteer hours, and more than 9,000 photographs for the state and the Federal Emergency Management Agency in support of Colorado's flood rescue and recovery operations. And whereas the Colorado Wing provided volunteers, aircraft, and ground vehicles to assist emergency responders with the Black Forest Fire emergency and the Waldo Canyon Highway 24 floods. And whereas Colorado Cadet Squadrons have won honors in drill and color guard competitions and continue to provide cadet volunteers to support community events and disaster exercises, thereby increasing their awareness of the importance of being good citizens. Now therefore be it resolved by the Senate of the 69th General Assembly of the State of Colorado, the House of Representatives concurring herein, that March 10, 2014 be designated Colorado Civil Air Patrol Day at the Colorado State Capitol, and that the members of the Colorado Wing be congratulated on the significant accomplishments of their many missions during the past year and their continued excellence in providing leadership and guidance to cadet squadrons, fostering an attitude of selfless community service and an abiding interest in aerospace education, and that the Colorado Wing be congratulated for its demonstrated readiness and willingness to augment and assist sheriffs, search and rescue forces, and other emergency responders across Colorado and the nation. Be it further resolved that copies of this joint resolution be sent to Governor John Hickenlooper, Major General Charles L. Carr, Jr., National Commander, Civil Air Patrol, Major General H. Michael Edwards, Adjutant General for Colorado, and Colonel Earl Sherwin, Commander, Colorado Wing, Civil Air Patrol.
Representative Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and members, please be seated. I just wanted to be sure that we had on record our wonderful young cadets who were here on Monday, who were our color guard, and they were Ryan McCuffin, Nathaniel Levitt, Chris Harmon, and Caleb Lawrence. And Caleb also did the Pledge of Allegiance for us. And you've heard of all the wonderful things that our Civil Air Patrol does, and I think I'm most impressed by their cadet programs and the fact that they have their activities of learning to fly, which is a big draw for young people, and they do encampments and they do all sorts of other activities. And I hope you looked through the brochure that was on your desk earlier this week for all of the events and activities that they do. And I certainly think that hope that all of you will decide to join. If you aren't a member yet, just be sure you give me your application. You can be involved from 0 time to as much time as you want to do, and it's really a great opportunity to be involved both with the adult side and with the youth. So with that, members, I certainly urge a yes vote on this resolution, and thank you so much for your support.
Representative Sonnenberg.
Thank you, Major Ferrandino, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Major Ryden, and all you other majors out there, part of the Civil Air Patrol. This indeed is a fantastic organization, and one of the things that wasn't included in the resolution that I think needs to be brought up that you need to know about. 2 weeks ago, the Civil Air Patrol was the lead agency in doing the search with regard to the prisoners that escaped from Otero. They were the ones that led that search and did the air search, and we only talk about the things they do where they save lives and look for those people lost, but they also help with that law enforcement and those type of things. And so I applaud the Civil Air Patrol. I am honored to be one of the Civil Air Patrol, and it is a great organization, and thank you for bringing this resolution. I ask for a yes.
Representative Waller.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Representative Ryden, for bringing this resolution. I just wanted to give a shout out to my favorite retired now Civil Air Patrol member. My wife's grandfather, Paul Gilmore, who lives in Representative Melton's district, started in the Civil Air Patrol in Colorado in 1947.
He retired in 2010. Do the math. That's an awful long time to be part of the Civil Air Patrol. And I think that that's testament to what kind of an organization it is and what kind of value it provides, that somebody would be willing to dedicate that much of their life to that cause. So Grandpa Gilmore, if you're out watching on TV, thanks for your service to the Civil Air Patrol and to the people of the state of Colorado.
So any further discussion? Seeing none, is there any objection taking a voice vote? Seeing none, we'll proceed in that matter. All those in favor of SJR 18 say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. SJR 18 is passed. Representative Riden.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the current roll call be added as co-sponsors.
Seeing no objection, the current roll call of the House will make co-sponsors of SJR 18. We will now proceed to our next order of business. General orders, second reading of bills. Representative McCann.
Mr. Speaker, I move the House now resolve itself from the committee of the whole for consideration of general orders.
You've heard the motion. Seeing no objection, the House will resolve itself in the committee of the whole for consideration of general orders. Representative McCann will take the chair.
The committee will come to order. With your unanimous consent, the bills will be read by title unless there is a request for reading a bill at length. Committee amendments will not be read unless requested, as they are printed and in your bill folders. Floor amendments will be shown on the screen and not read unless requested. Bills will be laid over upon motion of the majority leader. The coat rule is not relaxed. Just want to see if anybody was listening. Corey was listening. Okay, we will relax the coat rule. Madam Majority Leader. Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to lay over House Bill 1282 and House Bill 1267 to the end of the calendar.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, House Bill 1282 and 1267 will be laid over until the end of the calendar. All right. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1284.
House Bill 1284, Representatives Tyler and Quorum, all Senator Todd, concerning registration with the Department of Revenue of distinguished license plates issued to members of the Colorado General Assembly.
Representatives Tyler and Quorum. Representative Quorum.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I move House Bill 1284.
All right. Please tell us about House Bill 1284.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As you recall, there was a situation last year involving the couldn't determine who the legitimate owner of the license plate was, because the Senate and the House, if they're 35, had the same. So it was made news. So this is a bill that will correct that situation, and I also have an amendment that I would like to move.
All right. You're moving, what is the number of the amendment?
I gave it to you yesterday.
Do you want to give us the number of the amendment, Representative Quorum?
L002.
All right. L002 is properly before us. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This just further clarifies in the bill to correct correct this situation that was going on. In addition to the H or the S, it will also show which General Assembly it is. As example, the next time around will be the 70th General Assembly. So it will let the State Patrol, the police officers know that that is still a good license plate. If we're in the 71st General Assembly and someone is still using that plate with a 70, it's definitely a red flag that that is not a valid license plate.
Representative Tyler.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And as much as I enjoy working with my colleague on this bill and pulling together in tandem on this, I am not in favor of this amendment. I would urge a no vote on this amendment. What that would do would be take serious insider baseball into the public there in terms of saying 70th General Assembly, which nobody would know what that means, and we could put a string of numbers on there. Maybe we could put a precinct number on there or something for the precinct you're from. I don't think this needs this complication, and I think it really will allow us to understand what district we're from. The General Assembly just makes things a lot more confusing. And what we have, one of the things we've done in this bill is put guardrails around it to say that you cannot use this license plate if you're not a current member of the General Assembly. That's something that's different from the current law. You could have people running around with plates from any General Assembly on their car, whether or not they were a member. So we've already fixed this problem. We don't need this. It would just make the plate look a lot more confusing. I ask for a no vote.
Is there any further discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L002 to House Bill 1284. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no? No. The amendment is lost. Representative Tyler.
Thank you, Madam Chair. With that, this bill goes back to the absolute perfect form as it existed before. I ask for an aye vote.
Representative McNulty.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Representative Tyler, I don't serve on Transportation Committee, so I'm not privy to the committee discussion on this. What problem are you trying to fix?
Representative Tyler.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm curious, are you asking about the bill in itself, what problem we're trying to fix here?
Representative McNulty.
Well, presumably, Representative Tyler, you're bringing the bill for a purpose. What purpose are you bringing the bill?
Representative Tyler.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, Representative Corum and I brought this bill to solve some issues that have been out there as highlighted by some media results. Currently, you don't know whether you're looking at House District 23 or Senate District 23 if you've got an automatic camera reader. For example, I get bills from the E470 Authority on a regular basis for Senator Vicki Marble because she is Senate District 23 and not House District 23. Now, when they take pictures of those license plates, they can see in little tiny letters if they read it, Senate versus House, and that's why I send a note back every time. The other thing that this is solving is registering the plate to the legislator, and that was not true in the past. So there was no direct connection between the legislator and the plate that was on the car. So that solves two problems. One is confusion over House versus Senate, and the other one versus the fact that the plate is registered directly to the representatives, and that's why Representative Corum and I are bringing this bill.
Representative McNulty.
So, Representative Tyler, let's say that under the good graces of the people of Lakewood, you don't make it back here in the next election, and you continue to have your state legislative license plates on the car. How are those optical readers going to know that it is you and not the person who took your seat?
Representative Corum, Representative Tyler.
I think it would be pretty against the law, according to this bill, not against the previous situation with the license plates, that, by golly, if I'm not in the legislature, I'm not supposed to have this plate on. The current law is silent on that.
Representative Corum.
Thank you. As stated, I actually preferred the amendment because I felt it clarified, but with the H or the S, it will clarify. It just won't clarify which General Assembly you're a part of.
All right. Is there any further discussion of House Bill 1284? Representative Giroux.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So just as a clarification, will it still say at the bottom of the plate, Colorado House of Representatives? Okay, so it'll still say that, but it'll have an H or an S.
Representative Quorum is shaking his head yes. Would you like to put that on the record, Representative Quorum?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, it will have an H, it will have an S. What you must remember, if this bill passes, this will correct that one situation that was referred to earlier. If this bill is to fail, we will still have a license plate bill, a legislative license plate bill. You will have a plate on your car, and you put it on if you so desire to use it.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1284. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. House Bill 1284 passes. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of Senate Bill 142.
Senate Bill 142 by Senator Schwartz, also Representative Fisher, concerning exemption for certain water system facilities from the facilities that the Commissioner of Agriculture has a duty to inspect regarding pesticide storage.
Representative Fisher is coming to the well. Representative Fisher.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 142. There is no committee report.
Thank you, Representative Fisher. Tell us about Senate Bill 142.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Members, Senate Bill 142 is one of the only department bills coming from the Department of Agriculture this year. It's essentially a clarification of the roles and responsibilities between the Department of Agriculture and the Department of Public Health and Environment over who has responsibility and authority to inspect pesticide storage in different facilities. This clarifies and makes it extremely clear that the Public Health and Environment has responsibility to inspect pesticides stored at water and wastewater treatment facilities, whereas the Department of Agriculture has the responsibility to inspect those facilities, all other facilities. And the reason this is important is that the inspectors at Public Health and Environment have already have responsibility to inspect water and wastewater treatment facilities. This is a good government efficiency bill because it just clarifies that we don't have to have this double inspection of facilities by two different agencies of state government. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Sane.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And this is a great bill. It reduces government. I urge a yes vote.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 142. All those in favor say yes. Aye. I just moved us to the Senate. Those opposed, no. Senate Bill 142 passes. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of Senate Bill 149.
Senate Bill 149 by Senator Johnston, also Representative Young, concerning the minimum standards that a private occupational school must satisfy before being issued a certificate of approval to operate in Colorado.
Representative Young.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 149. There is no committee report.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 149 is simply a technical fix. It removes a section of the statutes that the Department of Higher Education actually does not follow anyway. If we do not pass the bill, we put our student financial aid funding at the federal level at risk. So I ask for an aye vote on the bill.
Is there any further discussion of Senate Bill 149? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 149. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Senate Bill 149 passes. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1277.
House Bill 1277, Representative Melton, also Senator Todd, concerning eligibility requirements for recipients of grants from the Military Family Relief Fund.
Maybe we'll just wait a minute. Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I move House Bill 1277 be laid over one bill.
All right, House Bill 1277 will be, seeing no objection, House Bill 1277 will be laid over one bill. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of Senate Bill 63.
Senate Bill 63 by Senator Marble, also Representatives Sane and Williams, concerning the mandatory review of existing executive branch agency rules conducted by each principal department.
Representative Sane.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 63.
Thank you. Please tell us about Senate Bill 63 and
members?
the committee report.
I don't see any committee reports in my folder. Oh, there is a committee report. I move Committee on State, Veterans, and Military Affairs.
Committee report. All right. Can you tell us about the committee report, please?
Yes. It was a very technical amendment, adding a semicolon and an and.
Is there any further discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the committee report. Those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The committee report passes.
Semicolon.
Representative Sane.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, what this bill does is it codifies the governor's executive order in 2012. Essentially, this is a good, easy-to-read bill. This will be good for state and local governments, consumers, and small businesses. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion of Senate Bill 63? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 63. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Senate Bill 63 passes. Mr. Kohler, please read the title to House Bill 1277.
House Bill 1277, Representative Milton, also Senator Todd, concerning eligibility requirements for recipients of grants from the Military Family Relief Fund.
Representative Milton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I ask to move House Bill 1277. There are no committee reports.
Thank you. Please tell us about House Bill 1277.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I do want to extend my apologies for missing my bill earlier. What 1277 does is it expands the current Military Family Relief Fund to allow for National Guard members who are deployed based on an order from the governor handling an emergency. Right now, the National Relief Fund goes to families of military personnel who are experiencing hardship, and that personnel is assigned to an overseas active duty mission. But we found that there are families who experience hardships with military personnel who are here in Colorado fighting fires and floods. So we wanted to make sure that we extended those benefits to those families as well in times of emergency. So I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion of House Bill 1277? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1277. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. House Bill 1277 passes. Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
All right. Let me find that here in my little book. Seeing no objection, the committee will rise and report.
The House will come back to order. Mr. Kohler, please read the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Mr. Speaker, Committee of the Whole begs leave reports under consideration following attached bills being second reading thereof and makes following recommendations thereon. House Bills 1277 to 1284 passed on second reading in order of gross placed on the counter for third and final passage. Senate Bill 63 amended 142 and 149 passed on second reading in order of revised placed on the counter for third and final passage.
Representative McCann. You've heard the motion. There are no amendments at the desk. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote, including Representative Waller at the press table. Representatives Becker, Duran, Kagan, Hamner, Humphrey, Peniston. Representative Kagan will be fined $2 for not having his jacket on. 2 pounds, actually 2 pounds, which is like $20, right? Close the machine with 64 aye votes, 0 no votes, 1 excused and 0 absent. The report of the committee is adopted. We'll go to announcements and introductions. Representative Primavera for a tribute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to ask you how you'd like to be awakened routinely 3 or more times each night. 60% of people who have Willis-Ekbom syndrome, which is a severe chronic neurological disease, experience this every night. So I'd like to pay tribute to this group. Willis-Ekbom syndrome is an uncomfortable, unpleasant sensation of your legs and a distressing, irresistible urge to move. This has a significant impact on sleep and therefore productivity and concentration. So I would like to applaud the work of the Willis-Ekbom Disease Foundation for their work to find a cure, to educate people, and support research for this disease, also known as restless leg syndrome. Their Willis-Ekbom Disease Awareness Day in Colorado will be September 23rd. I'd like to thank all of the foundation for their work on this and thank Senator Toktrop for offering this tribute also in the Senate.
Thank you. Representative Navarro.
Thank you, Mr. Speakers. Members, today is the Behavioral Health Caucus in Senate Room 35. We'll be discussing Senate Bill 88. Please join us. Thank you.
Representative Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the House Agriculture, Livestock, and Natural Resources Committee, we will meet on adjournment. Let's meet down in the committee room at 10:30. We'll drop the gavel. We have one bill, House Bill 1218. It's my bill. Don't worry about reading the bill. I'm going to ask that it be PI'd, so it's just a formality. But let's please all be prompt down to the committee room so we can get our business completed quickly, and we'll then have more of the morning to enjoy. Thank you.
Representative Duran.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Joint Budget Committee will meet at 11 a.m.
Representative Singer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Local Government Committee, great work, so we won't see you today. Take the day off.
Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, you have an announcement on the Sportsman's Caucus on your desk. There will be another announcement, but this one did have the day as Wednesday. It is next Thursday on the 20th. I had an error on that, but some of my alert colleagues caught that. It will still be on Thursday, the 20th. Thank you.
Any further announcements or introductions? Seeing none, Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move the House stand in recess until 1 p.m. this afternoon, at which point we will adjourn until tomorrow morning at 9.
Seeing no objection, the House will stay in recess until 1 p.m. today. We'll see you guys back here tomorrow at 9 a.m. Have fun in committees.